Successive events using tables.
We can use two-way tables when we have two successive events, and we can list all the possibilities in rows or columns in a table. So let's have a look at a two-way table for tossing two coins. So what we do is we list all the possibilities down in a column and also across in a row, and then where all of these meet up, we can put what happens when each of these occur. So over here, this is what happens. Would be a head and a head. Here is a head and a tail. Here's a tail and a head. And here is a tail and a tail. And it's very useful for when we have two successive events, and now we can see all the possibilities in our two-way table. So all our possibilities are getting a head on the first toss and a head in the second, head in the first, tail in the second, tail in the first, head in the second, and a tail for both as well. And when both are equally as likely, so here, head and a tail is equally as likely as a head and a tail, this makes finding probabilities really easy, because all we have to do is, so if we want the probability of getting a head and a head, as long as everything in the rows and columns are equally as likely as each other, we can count up how many combinations there are. So in this case there's 4, that becomes all our possibilities, and only one of them is a head and a head. Let's have a look at an example of rolling 2 dice. So we're going to roll 2 dice. Now when you play a board game and you roll 2 dice, you want to add up the top face of that dice, and that's how many spaces you might move. So let's make a two-way table for this. So let's look at, so all our possibilities are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And on the other dice, or other die, it's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are equally as likely, so this is going to help us out a lot. Now, if we were to roll a 1 and a 1 when we play our board game, that means we could move 2 places. So that's what we're going to put here. If we roll a 1 and a 2, we could move 3, a 1 and a 3, 4, a 1 and a 4, 5, a 1 and a 5, 6, and a 1 and a 6, we could move 7. And if we keep filling it out, we're going to get something like this. And hopefully you can see a bit of a pattern, which can make things really easy to fill out. So we're just increasing by 1 every time as we go across. And we're also increasing 1 as we go down. And finally 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there's only one way you can get 12, and that's if you roll a 6 and a 6, you get 12. And there's only one way you can get 2, is if you roll a 1 and a 1. So how many possibilities is all this all together? Well, we have 6 things down and 6 things across, which means there's going to be 36 possibilities altogether. So what's the probability of getting an 8? So as long as this row and this column are equally as likely as each other, we can just count up as many 8s as we have. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 8s. So the probability of getting an 8 when you roll 2 dice is 5 out of 36. What about what's the most likely number? Or the most likely roll? Let's have a look. Which one appears the most times? Well, that's going to be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So no other number appears as many times as 7. So getting a 7 is the most likely roll. So next time you play a game, rolling 2 dice, you'll know that the two dice adding up to 7 is the most likely outcome.